Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today, I have another story for you. It's a true tale of hope, love, and heartache that spans continents, from the quiet plains of Montana all the way to the vibrant streets of Bangkok. This is the story of John, a man whose quest for love led him down a path filled with unexpected twists and turns. Imagine living here, in the vast open spaces of Montana, where the sky is as wide as your dreams. This is where our story begins, with John, a man who, after a lonely and routine life, decided to seek companionship and love in a place thousands of miles away. And then there's Bangkok, a city alive with energy and mystery. It's here that John's life takes a dramatic turn when he meets Nari, a beautiful young woman with a smile that could light up the darkest of rooms. But not all is as it seems. What starts as a journey of love and hope soon unfolds into a tale of deception and heartbreak. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and join me as we dive into the story of John and Nari. Trust me, you won't believe how this one ends. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our weekly stories. That's right, let's get into it. John was a man in his 50s, hailing from the wide open spaces of Montana. He was no stranger to solitude. Since his divorce, it had been his constant companion. Living alone, the days and nights blended into a monotonous cycle of work and quiet evenings in his modest home. John had friends, sure, but they were few, and his attempts at dating in Montana felt like trying to fish in a dried-up pond. He often felt invisible, a shadow among people busy with their own lives. The loneliness wasn't just a feeling. It was like a heavy coat that John wore every day. The bustling streets of his town seemed to whisper tales of togetherness and love that he could no longer grasp. His work, once a source of pride and accomplishment, had become just another way to pass the time, a distraction from the echoing silence of his empty house. One day, amidst the drudgery of routine, John overheard a conversation at work. A co-worker, back from a vacation, was recounting tales of Thailand with an enthusiasm John hadn't felt in years. He spoke of vibrant streets, friendly faces, and a warmth that seemed a world away from the cold Montana nights. John listened, initially with mild curiosity that soon bloomed into a silent yearning. The more he heard, the more Thailand seemed like a distant beacon of hope. A land of colour and life, where the weight of loneliness might be lifted, even if just for a little while. The idea took root in John's mind, growing like a seed in spring until it became a fully formed decision. He needed a break from the grey skies and the ever-present silence. He needed to feel alive again. So, with a mixture of apprehension and excitement, John applied for his vacation time, booked his ticket, and before he knew it, he was preparing for a 2-week escape to Thailand. As he packed his bags, he felt a flicker of something he hadn't experienced in a long time. Hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, this trip could be the start of something new, something better. Little did he know, his journey would turn out to be more life-changing than he could have ever imagined.
John's first steps in Bangkok were like walking into a living, breathing postcard. The city was a sensory overload with tuk-tuks zipping by, street vendors hawking delicious foods, and the hum of a language he didn't understand. It was overwhelming, but in the most exhilarating way. Every evening after exploring the city, John found himself drawn to the neon glow of the go-go bars. It was a world away from his life in Montana. It was filled with excitement and the promise of companionship.
One bar, in particular, became John's regular haunt. It was there, amidst the dim lights and the clinking of glasses, that he met Nari. She worked there, moving with grace and confidence that caught John's eye immediately. Nari was young, stunningly beautiful, with a smile that seemed to chase away the shadows of his lonely life. She approached him one evening and they struck up a conversation. Nari's English was broken but clear enough for them to share stories and laughter. John felt a connection he hadn't felt in years. Nari listened to him, her eyes lighting up with interest, making him feel seen and understood. He learned about her life, her dreams, and the circumstances that brought her to work in the bar. As they spent more time together, John's attachment grew. He saw the kindness and the hope in Nari, and a desire sparked within him to take her away from this life, to offer her something better. They spent their days touring Bangkok, visiting ancient temples with golden spires and bustling markets filled with exotic scents and colours. Nari showed him her city, her world, and with every shared experience, John felt more enamoured. He was smitten by her beauty, her youth, and the way she seemed to bring light into his life. As the nights went by, John found himself wanting more. He wanted to take the relationship to the next level, to be more than just a customer to Nari. He imagined a life with her, far away from the neon lights of the go-go bars, a life where they could both find happiness. John saw potential for a future together, a future where they could leave the past behind and start anew. His heart, long dormant, was now fully awake, beating with hope and a deep desire to give Nari the world. After many nights of heartfelt conversations and shared dreams, John finally convinced Nari to leave the bar and be with him only. Her eyes, filled with a mix of hope and uncertainty, met his as she agreed, but not without a condition. John had to meet her family and, more importantly, ask her father for permission to be with her. For John, this request wasn't a hurdle, but a step towards a future he increasingly yearned for. He was serious about Nari, about this unexpected but profound connection they'd formed. So, without a second thought, he agreed to travel the next day to her village in the province, ready to take whatever step necessary to build a life with her. The journey to Nari's village was like a passage through time, away from the bustling streets of Bangkok to the serene tapestry of green fields and golden skies that made up the Thai countryside. John's heart raced with anticipation and a touch of nervousness as he imagined meeting Nari's family and asking her father for his blessing. Upon arrival, the warmth of the Thai sun was only matched by the warm welcome John received from Nari's family. They were modest people, living a simple, contented life, and their home was filled with laughter and the aromas of home-cooked meals. As they gathered around, John felt an overwhelming desire to be a part of this family, to share in their joys and their struggles. Then, as they sat down, Nari's father, with a firm voice, brought up the subject of the dowry. John listened intently, understanding the cultural significance of what was being asked. In her culture, a dowry wasn't just a financial transaction. It was a symbol of commitment, a promise to care for the family's daughter. The amount, however, was more than John had ever imagined. $30,000. The figure loomed over him. A daunting mountain of expectation that he wasn't prepared for. The family's humble surroundings made the request even more jarring, yet looking into Nari's hopeful eyes, John's resolve didn't waver. He didn't want to disappoint her, to lose this chance at happiness over money. So, with a mixture of love and a dash of recklessness, John agreed to pay $5,000 up front, promising to come up with the rest upon his return to the US. The day after he agreed to the dowry, Nari's village prepared a celebration like nothing he had ever seen. There was music, dancing, and food spread out as far as the eye could see. The whole village came to see the rich American who had come to marry one of their own. He was swept up in the festivities, surrounded by smiling faces and warm greetings. To them, he was a symbol of prosperity and hope, but inside, his emotions were a tangled mess of doubt and worry. Despite it all, the time he spent with Nari felt genuine. Her touch, her smile, it all made him feel alive again, but as all celebrations do, it came to an end, and John had to return to Montana. Back home, the contrast was stark. The vibrant energy of Thailand was replaced by the quiet, predictable rhythm of his old life.
The financial burden of the dowry weighed heavily on him. He was living paycheck to paycheck. The looming promise of sending the rest of the money along with an additional 20,000 Thai baht monthly felt like a mountain he was unprepared to climb. John had no choice. He dipped into his retirement account. It was a decision that bore down on him with the weight of 1,000 worries.
Yet every time he thought of Nari, of her laughter and the dreams they shared, he couldn't back down. He loved her, or at least he loved the hope and the light she brought into his life. So he started sending money, bit by bit, draining his savings and scraping together every dollar he could. It was a sacrifice, but one he was willing to make for the chance at a future with her, for the chance to no longer feel invisible in a world that had moved on without him. It was a leap of faith, a leap he hoped would lead to a better, happier life.
After he finished paying the dowry, John continued to financially support Nari by sending her money each month. He wanted to ensure she wouldn't have to return to working at the bar. However, Nari always seemed to need more, frequently telling John that what he sent wasn't sufficient. They kept in touch every day, with Nari often sending him pictures and videos. For John, life was challenging, but having Nari in his life, whom he considered the love of his life, was a bright spot. But Nari's satisfaction was short-lived. She constantly faced issues, ranging from family problems to unexpected emergencies, which John always tried to solve quickly. With Nari no longer working at the bar, she began to feel lonely and complained of boredom. She felt the need to do something productive with her time to keep her mind off the bar scene. She even started blaming John for his absence, feeling isolated because he wasn't in Thailand with her. John, sympathetic to her feelings, felt sorry for her. She was a young and beautiful girl, seemingly deeply in love with him and eagerly awaiting his company. To keep herself occupied, Nari decided she wanted to go back to school and asked John for 50,000 baht to cover everything from books to uniforms and school tuition. John, feeling he had no other choice, sent her the money. This meant he had to work a lot of overtime to cover all these new expenses. As Nari got busy with school and John was consumed with work, their communication decreased significantly. The frequent talks, the exchange of pictures and videos, all but stopped. There were days they didn't talk at all. When John brought up their lack of communication, Nari blamed her busy school schedule and the necessity to wake up early for classes. John felt a deep sense of loss and yearning. He missed hearing Nari's voice, something that had always been a source of comfort and motivation for him. Her reduced presence in his life left him feeling more alone than ever.
Out of the blue, John's phone rang with a call that would change everything. On the other end was his friend David from Phuket, his voice heavy with a concern that immediately set John's nerves on edge. David told him he'd seen Nari, the woman John believed he was building a future with, working back at the bar they'd met. John's heart sank. He didn't want to believe it, but the seed of doubt was planted, growing roots deep within his mind. Driven by a mix of love and disbelief, John confronted Nari. But she vehemently denied everything, her anger flaring up at the mere suggestion of infidelity. John, so deeply invested in the relationship, convinced himself it was all a misunderstanding. He wanted to believe in the love they shared, in the future they'd planned, but David, who'd seen too much and knew the sacrifices John was making, couldn't let it go. Determined to show his friend the truth, David captured a picture that would shatter John's world. Nari unmistakably leaving the bar with another man.
When John confronted her again, this time armed with undeniable proof, Nari's reaction was explosive. She twisted the story, trying to shift the blame onto John. But faced with the stark reality, her facade crumbled, and instead of asking for forgiveness, she hung up the phone and blocked John from all contact. She didn't need him anymore. She was already on the hunt for her next victim. This was the moment John's story took its darkest turn. He'd given everything, his heart, his money, his trust. And now he was left with nothing but a broken heart and a future filled with doubt. It was a painful reminder of how vulnerable we are when it comes to love and how easily we can be deceived by what we desperately want to believe. John's tale is a tough one, but it's an important reminder for all of us. Never lose sight of your worth. Love isn't about how much you can give or how desperately someone needs you. It's about mutual respect, honesty, and genuine care. Protect your heart, your future, and always, always trust your instincts. If John's story resonates with you, or if you have your own experiences to share, please drop a comment below. Let's learn from each other, be a little wiser, and never ignore the warning signs. Remember, look for love, but never at the cost of losing yourself. Take care, everyone.